Welcome to All Things Chiropractic.
Welcome to another episode of All Things Chiropractic. I'm Paul Andrews.
Dr. Mark Davini.
All right. Well, for us who celebrate Christmas, it's a big day, right?
Big day.
It's Christmas Eve day. And I'm excited because I really enjoy the holiday season. Not the whole season, but just like this day, Christmas, New Year's Day. You know, like
New Year's Eve was always the big thing in my family because of the Italian background. It was the seven fishes, the dinner of the seven fishes.
What were the seven fishes?
Oh, I couldn't even name them all. We had squid, we had octopus, we had lobster, shrimp.
Is that fish? Squid?
They call it fish. Can't be meat.
It's from the sea.
Yeah.
Well, it is meat, but it's from the sea.
It can't be animal meat because you're supposed to be fasting to go to communion.
Oh, so you have
it was a whole day of obligation.
Asterisk, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so you weren't allowed to eat meat, on that day. It was
So they had to substitute with seven different kinds of fish because they can't eat one kind of meat.
That's it.
Or animal.
The spaghetti was with lobster
Aren't
sauce.
fish animals?
Yeah, but not.
It has to be from the ocean, I guess.
That's it. That doesn't count.
Or a river.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
And that was a huge, huge, huge event. So yes. I mean, I
all right. So did you
season.
did you dare as an Italian eat meatless lasagna?
Well, everything was meatless, so the sauce was made with lobster.
But I'm saying, so it was a lasagna, but it was a lobster lasagna.
It was a lobster sauce, and you didn't have the meat in it. You didn't have the beef, and there was no substitute for the beef. So it was just basically cheese.
My wife would like that.
Just cheese. with the sauce or whatever. But lasagna wasn't a biggie. It was, like I said, you'd have all the fried shrimp and the calamari and the octopus.
What if you didn't like seafood?
Went to another house.
Bread and butter.
You were like, crap out of luck.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
It's just the way it went, So, yeah.
All right. So what are we talking about today? Well, we're continuing our holiday special. And this time we're going to be focusing in on the practice and the staff side of the holidays, which has its own pluses and challenges, we'll say, sometimes.
For sure.
Yeah. So, as we roll into a nice, hopeful time of rest, relaxation, family, friends, fun over Christmas itself, let's talk about staff because, some of the same challenges we talked about with patients over the holidays, certainly you can't exclude staff having those challenges as well. Stress is probably the biggest, right?
Exactly. And they're going through what you're going through and what everybody else is going through.
Yeah. Plus they have to hopefully do it with a smile.
Exactly. And they have to show up and it becomes an issue with staff, at least when I was in practice, that it's very, and as with patients, you have to be very clear about what your expectations are and what you have for conditions in the sense of employment. And so you need to define a number of things when it comes to holidays in general, but especially the Christmas, New Year, Hanukkah time of year. There's a lot going on in a very short period of time. So you have to say to your staff, okay, no one can say they need to take these days off because you leave, we're stuck, everybody's working harder, and that reflects in stress in the practice, which is carried over to stress to the patients. So you would say to a staff member, that these days are not on your call-in list or not your personal day list or not on your vacation lists, so that you're clear about what your expectations are, that you're going to be working, unless you're sick, of course, but you're going to be working these days, and everybody's going to be working these days so that we can all get out on time and all go back to our holidays also.
So the chiropractic assistants listening right now are just like, all right, I'll just call in sick then.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Great job, Doc. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, again, and not sounding like a complete, hot ass, so to speak, on these days where it was not allowed to call in for personal days. And if it was going to be sick, you had to have some level of documentation of that sickness.
Yeah,
because it puts
the world of
stress on
employers is way different now than it was back then, as far as what we can and can't do, right? You know,
You
obligations.
can always require proof of illness. That's allowed.
Yeah. So one of the challenges I found with the holiday season is I am not a big fan of receiving gifts. I don't know. I just don't. I like giving gifts, but
Yeah.
so there's also
Notice that.
there's also a lot of pressure sometimes. Like if you're if your staff exchanges gifts either by routine or by want, what do you get each other? Like what's the threshold of either the value or what if you don't know them for like to me there could be a lot of pressure there
Ah.
as a staff person. Or do you get your boss something?
Well, again, it's nice to set some kind of guidelines or rules. So, again, one of the things we found that was the most neutral was a Yankee swap type of
Okay.
situation.
All right, let's talk about Yankee swaps or there's different around the country they call it different things. So it's basically, because people have very hard and fast rules that they live by with these types of Yankee swaps, which is if you're not from New England, you probably know what we're talking about. If you don't, it's basically, you wrap these gifts and then you pick numbers and you get to pick a gift and or steal a gift. So here's the rules that I live by with Yankee Swap that I know is going to be controversial. You can go to allthingschiropractic.com and you can scream at me there.
Yeah.
But if you pick number 1, right, you get to pick your first gift, but you never have an opportunity to steal because you're the first person.
Oh, no, that's not the way we did it.
Right, but I'm telling you the way it should be done.
Yeah, number 1 goes back to being the last one to pick.
Yeah, that's where I was reaching that, right?
Okay, yeah.
But here's another difference. If you are the next number and you want to steal, you can't go pick a gift and open it yet. You can steal, and then the person you stole from gets to go pick another gift that's wrapped.
Yeah, we used to do it so that everybody went through, but number 1 was the last one to have a chance to steal.
Yeah, we do that too. But the question I have is, if you wanted to steal a previous open gift, could you open a gift first and then decide to steal, or did you have to steal before opening?
Our rules were you had we got them to open. You got to see what your gift was and then decide if you wanted to keep it or steal.
Yeah, no, we don't play by those rules. We don't.
So the point here is you define this very clearly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It can be a very hot topic, and you better discuss it before you do it, because
how much they spend, what kind of gifts you can get, what kind of gifts you can't get. But,
I could tell you the gifts I used to get a long time ago are not the same gifts I buy now.
No, you can't. You can't say those gifts on this in this environment. So. And the point is that it relieves a lot of the stress that way, or maybe you say no gifts, or maybe you say we're going to donate to certain charities. So instead of gifts to each other, we're going to take that money and you put it in one big pool and you donate it to certain charities. Whatever you do, it again comes out to be clear communication that this is how it's going to go. Otherwise,
realistically, these days, a lot of these Yankee swap gifts, I think, are like scratch tickets. But I always say to myself, get the low value ones, because boy, if someone hits big, wouldn't you be like, I don't know if upset's the word, but that could have been me.
That could have been me. Yeah, so maybe one of the rules are no scratch tickets.
Yeah, that's boring. Just keep them like the dollar ones, so there's not too much money. Right?
But I mean, everything about the season should be clearly defined to the staff, so that there is no, we'll say, confrontations taking place with your staff at a time that you don't want that. You're all there trying to do your jobs, help people. And they're going to be going through the same stress as you are. But you also want to respect the fact that your staff has families and needs to get out on time and respect their time off also. So communication is the key here.
So with staff, and the challenges that they face, just like patients do, what would you do, so let's say as the owner and you have a struggling staff person that has, they've come in for the emotional adjustment probably twice a day.
Staff person's getting adjusted
Yeah,
twice a day.
the emotional adjustment, twice a day. But sometimes, I mean, some staff that's what they do. They battle just like patients do.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes the lines can be blurred between boss and friend and doctor.
Exactly.
So, for you, like, first of all, did you ever have any staff person that, you had these boundaries issues with that you've had to deal with?
Yes, but it never gets too far because my staff and other doctors that I treated, it didn't matter who came into my office. If they were getting adjusted by me, they were treated just like a patient. They had to go through exams. They had to do the x-rays. We went through schedules or whatever. So it wasn't just the stop-in adjustment. My staff we had an adjustment day on Friday afternoons at the end of patient time. Everybody lined up and they got their adjustment. So if somebody was kind of falling outside of the routine, then yes, as a doctor to patient, I would try and delve into that and find out why, and if there was anything I could do personally to help that or relieve that. But I didn't leave their care up to them so much. I let them be a patient, and I was their doctor. So that was, and yes, there were times that patient-doctor relationship was challenged.
Did you have like holiday or Christmas parties at the office?
I did. Yeah. Started out with the big holiday dinner thing with when the spouses would show up and we go to this nice place or rent a private room and have this, nice dress up dinner. And eventually what it moved into was we would go and literally just rent a bus or a car, like a van, and go into Boston, and we'd spend a nice day together, but just the staff. And of course, any spouse who wanted to come, because we didn't know the spouses as well as we knew the staff, and we'd end up going there and spend all day together. And then that night, we, by the end of the day, we'd end up in a restaurant that we had a reservation for, and it was just fun. We'd always try and pick a fun place to go. So one time was a day in Boston. Another time we went to a casino, and
back when the money flowed in healthcare, apparently.
Oh my God! I remember one time we went to a casino. We took over a craps table.
Oh.
So it was only us at the craps table.
Oh.
And we had more fun, and some of us even made a few bucks, but we just had more fun because the person that was running the roulette wheel, I'm not craps, I'm sorry, it was roulette. The person who was running the roulette wheel taught us and played with us and entertained us more or less. So,
nice.
You can be creative. Sometimes one time we went to a show and took everybody to a show. And then again, maybe a dinner after or whatever. But, and at one point my highest staff was 12. So, at one point it was a pretty big endeavor. And then,
Did you give holiday bonuses on top of that?
We did. Yeah.
What is your opinion on holiday bonuses for staff?
It's a thank you for sure. But, and it was never meant to be like a huge amount of money. It would be a nice chunk, usually close to what, half of their paycheck or something like that, but it was just one of those things where you didn't want it to be about doing anything more than their job. And it was a thank you, not linked to any performance at all, because my expectation was they were always going to be doing their best. So I shouldn't have to pay them more to do better than their best, because that's what I was paying their salary for at the time. So yeah, we gave bonuses, we gave gifts. Like I said, we'd have a nice day, and
well, bonuses are one of those things where once you start, you can't stop.
You can't stop, and you can't get away from it, and you can never do less than what you did the year before.
Oh yeah, right. You better adjust for inflation anyway.
I had this colleague of mine who, at one time, when I was more politically minded as far as backing certain candidates for this and that or whatever, I had a fundraiser for a local person who was running for state Congress, and I'm sorry for as a in federal Congress, as a representative. And I remember I put on this big big fundraiser, we raised a ton of money and gave it to the candidate. And this guy came up, he says, you're screwed. So what do you mean? He says, your first fundraiser is never the biggest.
Right.
He said, now next year you have to do at least this.
Yeah.
Or more.
Well.
And that's the bonus rule, right? Make sure that you recognize that whatever you give as a bonus, it's going to be at least that expected.
Apparently that guy assumed he was going to win and you were going to do another fundraiser.
Yeah. Turned out he didn't.
Yeah. Oh, I've been there. Isn't that the worst? Oh,
yeah, that's what it is. I stopped that game really fast.
So, with staff too, when we start thinking about it, because it can be a very busy time of year, obviously personally, as well as in the office itself, hopefully, right? And so how do you, how do you continue to promote and expect this like holiday atmosphere, let's say in the office, without watching your staff maybe implode because it's so busy?
Again, everything was done as a group so that when we did do stuff, we tried to make it a group event that made it fun. Obviously, controlling the schedule is important, and they knew the rules about where to put emergencies and where not to put emergencies, so that we could control our schedule that way. But I would say the single biggest thing is try and do things as a group. I mean, we sat at lunch every day as a group. We had staff meetings every week as a group. Occasionally, we do things like the Christmas party, and we do it for other times of the year too, as a group. So you get to know your people, and the friendship word it gets a little bit difficult because, they're really not your friends. They're your employees. And so you have to maintain that status, but you can become friendly with them. And then if there's a point where they're no longer working for you, then certainly the friendship can develop. I have a CA that, it's been 22 years since she left. And she moved to North Carolina. And I teach an X-ray course for CAs down in North Carolina. Every time I go down there, once or twice a year, she drives from wherever she is. She's moved a number of different places in North Carolina so that we can have dinner together.
Nice.
So, and same thing with my other CAs. When we left and they were no longer working for us, we became friends. So it's all communication and definition. Define the relationship, define what it is or isn't, and communicate it effectively. And everything kind of finds a way. Not that everybody was ever perfect, I mean, I can't say I'm totally.
Well, speak for yourself, of course. I have an idea. Yeah. I have an idea, docs out there. In South Africa, on December 16th, they celebrate the Day of Reconciliation. So maybe you should celebrate that with your staff if you need to. Just to force the issue.
No, geez, thanks. No.
It's just a thought.
Yeah. Well, no.
Guess we're not going to be doing reconciliation, are we?
No, I'm going to do Festivus.
Yeah. We talked about that in the other. It was funny.
I know.
I wonder if there's any doctors out there that get the aluminum pole and put it in the office instead of the Christmas tree.
I'm going to have to rewatch that and get the aluminum pole. So,
yeah. You're definitely going to have to. That's hilarious. But,
oh my God.
So, as we think about and round out this holiday Christmas special, because I'm sure everyone wants to get to their Christmas Eve day festivities or get their patients done so they can start enjoying their time off as well.
No, a staff member, they're going to play this podcast as a group.
Oh.
Together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I bet they are, right? What are the takeaways? Festivus, calling sick. Yeah, you name it. Anyway.
Okay. With that all being said.
Yeah. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Helen Steiner Rice, since it is Christmas Eve. Or Christmas Eve day. Peace on earth will come to stay when we live Christmas every day. Isn't that nice?
That is nice. Helen had a way with words.
Yeah. Well, with that, we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas. We hope you enjoy a wonderful, warm, relaxing, and fun holiday tomorrow. And we'll see you next week for our year-end special. And anything else, Doc?
Yeah, have fun eating all the fish tonight.
That's right. I like fish, but I don't know about that. I don't know. It doesn't seem Christmassy to me, but I'm not Italian. So
That's right.
anyway,
Enjoy.
thank you for joining us for another episode of All Things Chiropractic. I'm Paul Andrews.
I'm Dr. Mark Davini. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Thanks for listening to All Things Chiropractic. We'd love to hear from you. Visit allthingschiropractic.com with comments, episode ideas, or questions. Or connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at All Things Chiropractic Podcast. Be sure to join Dr. Mark Davini and Paul Andrews next time for another episode of All Things Chiropractic.